Everyone fears the alligator. That's the mistake. The gator is the one thing in the Louisiana Bayou you already know to respect, the postcard monster, the one every tour boat points at. But the swamp is deeper and stranger than the thing on the brochure. Behind the Spanish moss and the still brown water is a whole roster of animals most people have no idea share this place, some too small to see, some that fall out of the trees, one that lives in the water itself. The people who work these bayous know them all, and they'll tell you the alligator is the least of your worries. 13 animals hiding in the Louisiana Bayou, ranked by one thing: how completely they disappear into it, how little you'd ever guess they were there, measured against what they actually do to a person. A caterpillar that can put you in the hospital. A shark that swims into fresh water. And at number 1, it isn't the alligator, it's something in the water so common and so quietly lethal that Louisiana has already lost people to it this year, and most of them never saw it coming. We start with the one that looks almost harmless. Number 13. The nutria. Number 13 has orange teeth and shouldn't be here at all. Start with the animal that looks the least dangerous and does damage in a way you'd never expect. The nutria is a swamp rodent the size of a small dog, up to 20 pounds, with a rat-like tail and a set of front teeth stained a startling bright orange. It isn't native to Louisiana. It was brought in for the fur trade in the last century, escaped, and now millions of them chew through the bayou. Here's why something so goofy-looking makes the list. The nutria's danger isn't a direct attack, though a cornered one can deliver a serious bite with those chisel teeth, and they can carry diseases and parasites transmissible to humans and pets. The real danger is what they do to the ground under your feet. Nutria devour the roots of the marsh plants that hold the wetlands together, and they burrow into levees, banks, and the earthen flood control structures that keep the water where it's supposed to be. In a state that is literally sinking into the Gulf, an animal that eats the marsh from beneath is quietly dangerous to everyone who lives behind those levees. It sits at 13 because it will never hunt you, but it opens this whole list with a warning. In the bayou, the threat is almost never the thing you'd expect, and it's usually established long before anyone notices. And the next one has been here far longer, since before the dinosaurs. Number 12. The alligator gar. Number 12 is a fish longer than a man, wearing armor from the age of dinosaurs. Cruise a Louisiana bayou, and you might see a long, dark shape rise to gulp air at the surface and sink again. That's the alligator gar, a genuinely prehistoric fish that can grow past 8 feet and top 200 pounds, one of the largest freshwater fish in North America. It's armored in hard diamond-shaped scales so tough that early settlers used them as arrowheads, and its long snout is lined with 2 rows of needle teeth. It has swum these waters, essentially unchanged, for 100 million years. Now the honest part, because this fish is badly slandered. The alligator gar does not hunt people, and there is no reliable record of one killing a human. It's an ambush predator of other fish, slow and docile toward humans, and most of the fear around it is pure myth. So why is it here? Because of what those jaws and that size can do in the wrong moment. A thrashing 8-foot gar hauled into a boat is a real injury risk, and its eggs are genuinely poisonous to eat. But mostly it earns its place by teaching the lesson the bayou keeps repeating. The water is full of enormous, ancient things you never see until they choose to surface, and the next one you won't see either because it's covered in venomous fur. Number 11. The puss caterpillar. Number 11 looks like a toupee and stings like nothing you've felt. This is the one nobody believes until it happens to them. The puss caterpillar, known in Louisiana as the asp, is a small, fuzzy, inch-long creature covered in soft-looking hair that makes it look like a tiny Persian cat or a discarded hairpiece. Children want to touch it. That is exactly the danger. Underneath that fur are hollow, venomous spines connected to poison sacs, and it is considered one of the most venomous caterpillars in all of North America. The sting is genuinely shocking for something so small. LSU Health in New Orleans and other experts describe it as far worse than a bee, immediate, radiating pain that victims say can make your bones ache, along with burning, blistering welts, nausea, and in severe cases, numbness and trouble breathing. Children have been hospitalized after a single brush against one, left with dozens of venom injection sites from a single touch. And here's the bayou twist: they live in the oaks and shade trees draped over the water and the trails, and the classic sting happens when one drops out of the branches and lands against the back of a neck or slips into a collar. It ranks 11th because the sting, while agonizing, is very rarely life-threatening, and most people recover in a day or two. But it makes a point the big predators can't. In this swamp, danger falls out of the trees, wearing a disguise soft enough that you'll want to pick it up. And the next one arrives in a way that's even harder to believe. It floats. Number 10. The fire ant. Number 10 builds a living raft and comes to you across the water. You know fire ants sting. What you may not know is what they do in the bayou when the water rises, and it's the stuff of nightmares. When a flood hits, a fire ant colony doesn't drown. The ants link legs and bodies together and weave themselves into a living, floating raft, thousands strong, that rides the floodwaters with the queen and the young safe in the middle. That raft drifts on the current until it snags on something solid, a tree, a fence, a waiting human leg. And the moment it touches you, it boils over you. This is where fire ants become genuinely dangerous instead of merely painful. A raft that hits a person delivers not one sting, but a coordinated swarm of them, each ant latching on and stinging repeatedly in a circle. For most, that's a mass of burning pustules in a miserable few days. But fire ant venom causes anaphylaxis in a small percentage of people. A single episode can be enough to trigger it in someone sensitized, and their stings have killed. After a Louisiana flood, those drifting red rafts turn the water itself into a minefield. It ranks 10th because a single encounter is survivable for almost everyone. But it earns its place with pure alien menace, an animal that turns a flood, the bayou's most ordinary disaster, into a floating ambush. And the next animal doesn't float or fall. It sits on the bottom, and it has been waiting there, motionless, for decades. We're at the halfway point, and from here up, the animals get bigger, the water gets deadlier, and the danger stops being a bad afternoon and starts being a real emergency. If the true hidden bayou is your kind of thing, take 1 second and subscribe. It genuinely helps the channel keep making these. Because number 9 has a bite that can take a finger clean off, and it's sitting under the boat ramp right now. Number 9. The alligator snapping turtle. Number 9 is 150 pounds of jaw, disguised as a rock. Down at the muddy bottom of the bayou sits an animal most people would never guess was there. The alligator snapping turtle, the largest freshwater turtle in North America. A big one can weigh well over 100 pounds, with a spiked, ridged shell caked in algae that makes it look exactly like a mossy rock or a sunken log. It sits motionless on the bottom, mouth open, wiggling a small, pink, worm-like lure on its tongue to draw in fish. A living trap that has hunted this way for millions of years. The danger is that jaw. The alligator snapping turtle has one of the most powerful bites of any turtle on Earth, easily strong enough to sever a human finger, and there are documented cases of exactly that happening to people who handled one carelessly. It won't chase you, it can't. And in the water, it wants nothing to do with a human. Nearly every injury happens on land or on a line. An angler who hooks one and reaches to unhook it, a curious person who tries to move the rock off a boat ramp or a road, a hand that gets too close to that beak. It ranks 9th because it is not aggressive and never pursues anyone. Leave it alone and it will never touch you. But it makes the bayou's quietest point yet. The bottom you're wading over, the log you're about to grab, may not be what it looks like. And the next thing that looks like a stick is a snake that won't warn you before it strikes. Number 8. The copperhead. Number 8 is the snake you'll step on because you'll never see it. The copperhead lives throughout the higher, drier edges of the Louisiana Bayou, the leaf litter along the banks, the woodpiles, the brush at the water's edge, and it is a masterpiece of camouflage. Its coppery, hourglass crossbands blend so perfectly into dead leaves and dappled shade that you can look directly at one and not see it. And unlike a rattlesnake, it gives no warning. Its entire survival strategy is to freeze and trust that you'll never notice it, which means the classic copperhead bite lands on someone who had no idea a snake was there, a hand set down on a log, a bare foot in the leaves. Here's the honest concession, and it's the reason it sits at 8 rather than higher. The copperhead's venom is among the mildest of North America's pit vipers. Deaths are extremely rare, many bites are dry with little venom injected, and most healthy adults recover fully with treatment. But it is one of the snakes people are most likely to actually be bitten by, precisely because it doesn't flee and doesn't warn, it just waits, invisible, exactly where a hand or a bare foot is about to land. It ranks 8th because it rarely does lasting harm. But the next snake carries a venom that does something far worse than a copperhead's. It shuts down the nerves that keep you breathing. Number 7. The eastern coral snake. Number 7 hides the deadliest venom in the bayou behind the prettiest colors. Most people walking the bayou would never recognize the coral snake for what it is. It's slender, secretive, and brightly ringed in red, yellow, and black, often mistaken for a harmless mimic, and it spends nearly all its life hidden under leaf litter, logs, and loose soil. But this small, shy snake carries the most potent venom of any snake in North America, a neurotoxin that drop for drop is stronger than a rattlesnake's and works in a fundamentally more frightening way. Where a pit viper's venom destroys tissue, the coral snake's attacks the nervous system directly. A serious, untreated bite doesn't rot the wound, it shuts down the signals to the muscles, and the true danger comes hours later as it creeps toward the muscles that control breathing. The old rhyme locals learn as children, red touches yellow, kills a fellow, exists precisely because the difference between this snake and its harmless lookalikes can be the difference between a scare and respiratory failure. Now, the reason it's only number 7, and it's a real one, the coral snake is almost absurdly reluctant to bite. It has small, fixed fangs and a small mouth that can't strike like a viper, and it usually has to hold on and chew to deliver a full dose. Genuine bites are rare, and anti-venom makes deaths rarer still. It earns its rank on the sheer lethality of the venom, not the odds of being bitten. And the next animal has no such restraint. It stands its ground, and it lives in the water you're standing in. Number 6, the bull shark. Number 6 is a shark, and it's swimming in the freshwater river behind your house. Here's the fact almost nobody believes about the Louisiana Bayou. It has sharks in it. The bull shark has a rare ability among sharks. It can regulate the salt in its own body, which lets it leave the ocean entirely and swim far up into brackish and even fresh water. In Louisiana, bull sharks cruise the coastal estuaries, marshes, and lower rivers, and they've been documented well inland. There's a long, real history of bull shark encounters in Lake Pontchartrain, the Great Lake beside New Orleans, including reported attacks. This is a genuinely dangerous animal in the wrong place. Bull sharks are broad, powerful, and aggressive, considered one of the species most responsible for attacks on humans worldwide, precisely because they hunt the shallow, murky, near-shore water where people actually swim and fish. And in the coffee-colored water of a bayou or estuary, you cannot see one coming. No fin, no shadow, nothing until it's already there. Now the honest scale, because it matters. Actual attacks in Louisiana's inland waters are genuinely rare, and the vast majority of people wading and fishing these waters will never so much as see one. It ranks 6th not on frequency, but on the sheer wrongness of it, a saltwater apex predator patrolling the freshwater world where no one thinks to look for it. And the next one doesn't visit the water. It rules it, and it will not back down. Number 5, the cottonmouth. Number 5 is the only venomous snake here that swims at you instead of away. The cottonmouth, the water moccasin, is the single venomous water snake of the Louisiana Bayou, and it is woven into every part of it: the sloughs, the bayous, the marshes, the ditches, the cypress shallows. It's a heavy-bodied pit viper with cytotoxic venom that destroys blood cells and tissue, and a serious bite can mean necrosis, permanent damage, and a genuine medical emergency. It hunts and strikes both on land and in the water, so a wader, an angler, or someone stepping off a dock is fully in range. What sets it apart from every other snake on this list is its refusal to flee. Where most snakes want only to escape, the cottonmouth is famous for standing its ground, coiling, throwing its head back, and gaping that white, cotton-lined mouth wide in warning. Sometimes that open white mouth is the only warning you get, at close range, from an animal you'd assumed was a harmless water snake sunning on a cypress knee or swimming across the bayou toward the very bank you're standing on. Now, the fair concession: cottonmouths are far less eager to bite than their reputation claims. Deaths are rare with modern antivenom, and most bites happen when people try to handle or kill them. But it ranks 5th because it lives exactly where bayou life happens on a hot day, and it is the one snake here more likely to hold its position at the waterline than to slip away. And the next 3 animals don't just defend themselves, they've killed people in this state, and the first of them is a 300-pound animal you never expected in a swamp. Number 4, the feral hog. Number 4 weighs 300 pounds, has tusks, and owns the swamp at night. Most people picture the bayou full of reptiles and fish, not a massive, aggressive land mammal, but Louisiana's feral hogs are one of its most genuinely dangerous residents. Descendants of escaped domestic pigs and released wild boar, they've exploded across the state's swamps and marshes in enormous numbers. A big boar can push past 300 pounds, armored in muscle and gristle, armed with self-sharpening tusks that curve up out of its jaw, and it moves through the bayou almost entirely at night, in family groups called sounders. Most of the time, a hog crashes away into the brush. The danger is the exception. A cornered boar, a wounded one, or a sow with piglets. And when one of those decides to come, it comes low, fast, and silent out of thick cover, and those tusks are built to slash upward through a leg. They're intelligent. They breed faster than almost any large mammal, and Louisiana has never found a way to meaningfully thin them out. It ranks fourth because it doesn't stalk humans as prey. The attacks, while real and occasionally fatal across the region, are collisions of temper and bad timing, not hunts. But it is the largest land animal on this list in staggering numbers, moving through the dark exactly where people hunt, fish, and walk. And the next one is even bigger, and Louisiana nearly lost it forever. Number 3, the Louisiana black bear. Number 3 is a bear almost no one realizes Louisiana even has. Say Louisiana Bayou, and almost nobody pictures a bear. But the Louisiana black bear, the state's own subspecies, the very animal the original teddy bear was named for after a famous hunt here, lives in the bottomland forests, canebrakes, and swamp margins of the state. It was hunted and logged to the brink, listed as threatened, and only removed from the endangered species list in 2016 after a long recovery, which means there are more of them in the Louisiana swamps now than there have been in generations. A black bear can top 300 to 400 pounds, and while it is generally shy and wants to avoid people, it is still an apex animal with immense strength. The danger rises the same way it always does. A bear that learns to associate humans with food, from garbage, from hunter's bait, from campsites, loses its fear, and a bold, food-conditioned bear near people is a genuinely different and more dangerous animal than the shy one that melts into the cane. It ranks third because attacks are rare, and the bear would almost always rather leave. But it makes one of the list's most surprising points. The swamp is big enough and wild enough to hide a 400-pound predator that most residents don't even know is there, and yet it's still only number 3. Because the last 2 things on this list have already killed people in Louisiana, and the next one isn't an animal you can see at all. Number 2, the flesh-eating bacteria. Number 2 has no body at all, and it's killing Louisianans right now. This is the one that should genuinely change how you think about the bayou, because it isn't a creature you can run from, it's in the water. Vibrio vulnificus is a naturally occurring bacterium that thrives in the warm, brackish water where the bayou meets the Gulf, most abundant from May through October when the water is hot. You don't get attacked by it, you get exposed when an open cut, scrape, or fresh tattoo touches the water, or when someone eats raw oysters pulled from it, and it is called flesh-eating bacteria for a literal reason. A Vibrio wound infection can race through tissue with terrifying speed, causing the flesh around the wound to break down, sometimes requiring emergency surgery or amputation to stop it, and if it reaches the bloodstream, about 1 in 5 people who are infected die, sometimes within a day or 2 of the first symptoms. This is not a rare historical footnote. In 2026, Louisiana health officials reported at least 5 deaths and 9 cases in a single stretch, well above the usual average, everyone linked to a wound exposed to that coastal water. It ranks second, above every fang, tusk, and stinger on this list because it is invisible. It is common. It is in the exact warm shallows where people wade and fish all summer, and it kills a genuinely frightening share of the people it infects. A scratch you didn't think about, in water that looked perfectly ordinary. And yet, there is still one animal in this bayou that takes more lives here than anything else, the one you were sure would be number 1 all along. Number 1. The American alligator. Number 1 is the one you saw coming, and it's number 1 for a reason the tour guides don't tell you. Yes, it's the American alligator, but understand why it truly tops this list, beyond the obvious. Louisiana holds the largest alligator population in the United States, an estimated 2 million of them, living in essentially every body of freshwater and brackish water in the state. The swamp, the bayou, the canal, the drainage ditch, the pond behind the gas station. This is no rare wilderness encounter, it is a constant statewide presence, and everything about the animal is built for one thing: the ambush from the waterline. An alligator gives you nothing. It floats with only its eyes and nostrils breaking the surface, or submerges completely, and waits motionless, silent for hours, at the exact edge where land meets water. Then it strikes in a burst that closes the gap in a fraction of a second, clamps down with a bite force in the thousands of pounds, and pulls its prey under to drown it in a death roll. That strike zone is precisely where people gather on a hot day. The bank where you launch a boat. Let a dog drink